Well, good morning, everybody. To get us started today, I wanted to take you back to Sunday and show you some satellite data here on the last day of winter. So today is the spring equinox, equinox meaning equal night, which means everywhere on Earth except for the North and South Pole has 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness. The sun is going to rise on the North Pole and not set again until September 21st. Okay, as we watch this animation, I want to show you right here as the sun sets in the middle of the country. This line, the sunset line, is basically directly north-south, and that kind of indicates where the position of the sun's rays are direct on the equator. Now, let me take you back, though. Large area of high pressure moved in over the week and brought in very, very cold air throughout the midsection of the country. In fact, the frost events have made it all the way to the Gulf Coast under this high pressure. It was interesting to note, though, if you kind of pause it right here just as the sun was setting, you can see in parts of Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, even down in the southeast, some controlled burns. So this is smoke from controlled burns here in the midsection of the country. The other thing we were watching carefully was just how much snow we could see throughout the northern plains of the United States and the upper Midwest. The west was already covered in cloud again because we're watching the next storm system come through here. But I want to point out one thing. Now, as we switch this over to infrared, last night we can actually see quite a bit of cloud cover that stretched right along the coast in parts of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. And that may have been important in keeping away the freeze that got into the southeast last night. This is this morning's all hazards weather maps. While the west prepares for another deep low coming in on Tuesday right over San Francisco, we actually have a system rolling through the northern plains. It's going to be bringing in some snow to the northern, the Red River Valley of the north. The southeast, there's 12 states here that have freeze warnings this morning. We still have one more morning of colder weather. But I was looking at the temperatures, and the cloud cover kept this whole region away from hitting those temperatures below freezing. But this past weekend, we saw teens, overnight lows in the teens that came through parts of the Midwest and the Ohio River Valley. There's some concern over potentially for some winter wheat damage. We do grow winter wheat in this area as well, and there might have been some potential damage to the crop there, so we'll need to keep an eye out on that. Okay, overall, bigger picture, just a reminder from the beginning of February to this point in March, much of the southeast has been quite warm, while the west has been very, very cold. And I think we're going to go back to this pattern again here very soon. But I just want to make a point. We should expect to see some damage to some of the crops down here because of how early spring has arrived. And I'd like to show you again the National Phenology Network spring leaf index anomaly, basically telling us how early spring had been in this particular area. Let's take a look at what those temperatures are going to do. We're going to start off with overnight low temperatures. So this was this morning. Look at that white line. That's where our freeze line is located. Here's tomorrow morning. So again, we're going to see some patchy frost in the mid-Atlantic down into the southeast. And then as we play forward into Wednesday and Thursday, substantial warm-up happening out ahead of this next big low pressure system. This is actually going to set us up with some severe weather in the midsection of the country in mid-south and set up the threat for flooding rains in through this area. But then as we play out there to Friday and Saturday and Sunday of this upcoming week, we keep colder air anchored west and in the northern plains. We'll talk more about that in a few moments. But I want to bring you up to speed on the latest high-resolution model forecast. So let's kind of keep an eye on those pieces here. High pressure dominates throughout the day today in the southeast. We see snow spreading throughout the Rocky Mountains here. And this is actually going to curl itself up into a low over Wyoming, eastern Snake River Valley, and Montana. And this low is going to run right here across the northern tier of the United States. While that's occurring, early in the morning on Tuesday, we're going to watch a deep low that will move into California again. Potential for snow in the Sierra Nevada, 1 to 2 feet above 6,000 feet here. Heavy rains into California's Central Valley and also into Southern California. Look right down here, which means this flooding issue we've had in California is going to continue into the foreseeable future. So while that system comes on here on Tuesday, we see that by Tuesday afternoon, the low has moved over South Dakota, spreading snow to the north of it here, and rain to the south over parts of the Midwest all the way down to the into Texas. We'll keep an eye on how much snow we're expecting here running across the Red River Valley of the North on Tuesday night into northern Wisconsin, the UP Michigan, and southern Ontario. But as that system exits, the one that came into California continues to spin throughout the Rocky Mountains, and it's going to be the setup for a system later this week that could introduce some strong to severe storms on a warm front here on Wednesday night, and then on Thursday into Friday over parts of the Red River Valley of the South and the lower Mississippi River Valley. Storm Prediction Center today has given us this outlook for Wednesday, then getting into Thursday and Friday of this week. And in addition to that, very heavy rainfall is expected in parts of the Mid-South through the Ohio River Valley, Tennessee Valley. Notice that the probability of getting 2 to 4 inches of rain is a real possibility in this area, while we stay drier across the east, here in parts of the Carolinas down to the southeast, drier in the plains where the models continue to overpredict the rainfall in this area, and drier in the Canadian prairie as well. To see the timing of this next system, let's go right to the combination of the GFS on the left and the European on the right. I'm going to play through what we've already seen, and we're just going to pause it right here on Wednesday evening. So this is when the deeper trough is trying to eject, and there's going to be a warm frontal boundary here with moisture getting pumped into it in this area. So we're going to keep an eye out for those strong storms right in through this potential area there. Then as we play into Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, and evening, notice that the GFS has got a bit more snow farther to the north in South Dakota, southern Minnesota, Wisconsin than the European does. There's still snow in the European, but much more in the GFS. This system, as it moves toward the northeast, loses its punch, and you can see it might deliver some snow to Quebec, but watch what follows it. There's actually high pressure here and high pressure there, and a frontal boundary gets stuck in between. And we can see it in both models. That's where the risk of the flooding rains are going to be. This is now getting into Friday morning, Friday afternoon, and evening. But the system progresses. It eventually moves to the east, and what we're going to see here is the potential this weekend on Saturday for a large kind of northeastern storm system here. It may have too much warm air in it to bring rain over parts of Pennsylvania, New York, this part of New England, but maybe on the back side of it. The models have 2 different solutions here, but could be some more snow on the backside of this into southern Ontario and into the into northern parts of New England. Now after that, we continue to see more rain hitting this same area in the models and another coastal low by next Monday. So we put all that together and we say, where's the greatest risk of the heaviest rainfall? Well, this is the area that has the highest probability of getting at least 2 inches of liquid out of the next 10 days. Well, that and the west coast of the United States, which has had relentless onshore flow. And if we want to know where the snow could possibly be, because there's still uncertainty with the system late this week in New England, we're looking here at a map that shows the probability of getting at least 3 inches of snow. Now, this map is useless for the west. Again, we might expect to see up to 2 feet of snow in the Sierra Nevada. That's adding on top of some places where snowpack is up to 30 feet deep. We have up to 100 inches of liquid in this snow. There's great snowpack currently in parts of Oregon and Idaho, and you can see here that this is even going to add more snow to the upper Colorado Basin. So this map doesn't really show you what's happening here, but we're just looking for that corridor in this area that could add more snow with the next couple of systems. The colder air issues continue into tomorrow morning, so that's why you still see the frost risk out getting pretty far to the south here. But there is some potential for some frost in the Central Valley of California, and this is definitely a colder forecast. So let's take a look at what the temperatures are going to be. Here's Monday's highs compared to normal, getting into Tuesday and Wednesday. Now remember, Wednesday's when the low begins to emerge and opens up that large, warm, and unstable sector. And you see that by Thursday, this whole area has made a significant rebound in temperatures while the colder air stays anchored here and in the west. Playing into Friday and Saturday and Sunday, we see the colder air staying throughout much of the west, and that's where the models want to leave it. Even out there to day 10, the ridging stays over the Aleutian Islands, so no reason to see a big warm-up for the west. In fact, troughs just keep plowing through the central part of North America, and that just keeps the temperature pattern like I'm showing you here. This is a 5-day sliding window of average temperature anomalies, and while the east and south and southeast is going to see some warmer days, the west, the upper Midwest don't really let go of it. And the new CPC outlook for the first 15 days or 14 days of April keep the cold across the north with rebounding temperatures in the southeast. What will be important to watch is the severe weather threat in this area, plus the risk of some heavier rains in this area delaying field work and planting. To finish this up, I want to give you an international picture of this, to point out how mild Europe, Russia, China is during this time period. The colder air has really been displaced over the Pacific Northwest, the Northern Plains, Canadian Prairie. Look how hot it's going to be in parts of Australia in the coming days. and maybe most importantly, internationally, is how much rain is expected to come into Argentina. Maybe 4 to 5 inches of excess rainfall coming into this area after what has been an historic drought. The drier conditions you see in central and eastern Brazil are going to be great for harvest of harvest of first crop. They're late here, and this means more rapid planting of safrinha, and we do see wet conditions continuing for Mato Grosso, which is important given the size of the safrinha crop in that area. So we got a lot to be watching this week, and I'll look forward to giving another update tonight with my in-depth report and tomorrow morning with the morning reports. Have a good one. Thanks.